Thanks for tuning in once again to our weekly PGA Tour preview show. And we have a few new additional important picks to give you each week because we're going to be starting our DFS contest that is going to give us an opportunity to check out exactly who we're going to take each week on DraftKings. So we're putting that together and we're going to put it all for you today, including, of course, the key trends to keep an eye on for this week's Genesis Invitational. We're going to go over all the latest odds, of course. And again, you've got one and done picks, fantasy picks, or regular picks. So as many picks as we can give you this week on a Monday night, and a few other things we want to let you know about. And that is because we kind of stayed away from this for a while, but I think this is important to remind everybody that since this particular show does not get the ratings that some of the other shows get, we're going to condense it. So instead of doing a 90-minute, I'm going to try to get this done hopefully in a half hour if possible. And that means a little less content. I know there are a select few of you guys who are really great and come back every week, and I appreciate it. But I really do have to start spending time on other projects, especially because we don't get the traffic for this show that I would really like to get with the amount of time that is put in. For instance, we have an option for the live show where we could put ads in, and I don't do that. We may have to start doing that soon too. So there is an option, not just for this show, but for every show we do here at ProLine TV. And that includes whenever we do shows with the Arledge Football Network. And for the live option, you have the super chat. So the super chat, very simple. You go there right there in the chat area, and you can donate anything you like to the show, $1, $2, $5, whatever you want to donate. All of that is very helpful. That will make things a lot easier for me to be able to include a lot more content on the show, not just for this particular video, but all the videos we do, of course, depending on the show that you support. Same thing for Super Thanks. The Super Thanks is similar to Super Chat. Super Chat happens during the live show. If you don't watch the live show and you only watch on demand, then it would be Super Thanks. Same concept. You hit the thanks button on the bottom of the screen. And you just go ahead and do the same thing. You can donate $1, $2, whatever you want to donate. And everything that you're able to donate to us is definitely going to be helpful because we're putting it right back in to the show, whether it's more time for more content, hiring more hours for more editors, and so forth and so on. Okay, so let's get right to it. Well, we have an unfortunate win by Colin Morikawa on Sunday. As you know, we like Minwoo Lee, had big money on Minwoo. And to see a player come out of nowhere, I mean, nobody picked Colin Morikawa. Come on, let's be real. Colin Morikawa did not have a top five since I think it was Bay Hill. Bay Hill, almost a year was his last top five. And he comes out without any indication, but this is golf. We see this a lot. And this is the thing that's very frustrating. So what I do have to let people know, though, you're going to get frustrated a lot in golf. A lot. You get frustrated in a lot of sports, of course, but golf is probably one of the more frustrating because of situations like this. You can't tell when a player is just going to get hot out of nowhere for no reason. I don't care that Colin Morikawa has now moved into fifth in the world now? He was not playing anywhere near a top five player for the past year. But he had, and still is a very talented player. The question is this just a one-off? Or will Colin Morikawa embark on his best season yet? I guess we'll find out. The point is stick to your formula. Whatever works for you, stick to it. Don't let something like that get under your skin where you start thinking of different ways and, oh, I got to figure, this is just, or just giving up altogether. If you really love the sport, whatever sport it is, just stick with it and just deal with it. That's all you can do. And don't change anything. Don't start all of a sudden, I got to make it up and I got to invest more. No, don't invest more. If anything, invest less, but never invest more. Just stay with it. And if you're confident about your formula, it will prevail over time. I promise you. Okay, let's get into this. All right, so here we go. Oh, wait a second. Where am I? All right, I got to pop up the event information. Here we go. Okay, so here we go. This is the Genesis Invitational. Keep in mind, just a reminder that this was not played at Riviera last year. Okay, they played at Torrey because of the fires. So that's unfortunate for a lot of reasons, mainly the fires. But not being able to play here, it's one of the really awesome old school golf courses. This is a rare opportunity for the golfers to play here. And what I mean by that is they just don't make these types of courses anymore. And what's great about it is that even though you would think that this would be a golf course that would favor accurate ball strikers, that's not necessarily the case. Ball striking is great. That doesn't mean that you have a disadvantage, but being a powerful driver, and if you've looked at it the last decade that's what's won here at Riviera. And we're going to get into that in just a sec. Okay, so here you go, another POA laid out golf course. So we've been really hammering that lately. We've already done with Torrey Pines, Pebble, and now Riviera. We will not see POA, though, until the Travelers. So we've got a while, East Coast, and then also whenever they go to the Procore. And I think that's later in the year as well. So it's going to be a while, but this is another thing. When we're talking about putting, there's going to be a lot of players for the past month or so playing on POA greens, and they just not that. They struggle. It's just not their thing. But then all of a sudden, once you go to the Florida swing, it can get a lot different, Bermuda and so forth. So now you can see golfers struggling with their putter in 1 week for 1 month, and the next month they're on fire. But we'll get into all that in the coming weeks. We're going to be, matter of fact, where are we now with the, let's see, next week. Is that it next week? Let me see. Yes, next week. That's when it starts. The Cognizant Classic is next week. Okay. So again, getting back to Riviera. As you can see here, there's only been 3 times since 1973 they haven't played here. There are reasons, but for the most part, just since the last 25 years or so, it's been all Riviera except last year. And again, because it was last year at Torrey, you don't count that with your past performances. So we only are looking at 2024 and earlier. All right. What's now? And of course, this has been a signature event for the last 2 years, but only one at Riviera. Let's now go into, I'll tell you what, let's hit similar courses. Okay. So similar courses here. And yes, believe it or not, Augusta National. You got the Masters, you got the CJ Cup at Nine Bridges. Now that was a South Korean event, but just those 3 years. And then you've got the Cognizant Classic and Century. Those are the ones that we're going to play off of regarding similar course layouts when we're trying to find out whether or not certain players, horses for courses kind of deal. And remember, since it's a POA layout, we are going to be looking at the last 20 rounds. We're going to look back basically from the last 6. So there are 6 POA layouts on the PGA Tour. We're going to take a look at basically, we're going to go through pretty much the last calendar year, which is about, for POA only, about 20 rounds or so. But more importantly, we're going to be looking at what we've just seen over the last several weeks. That really does matter more, I think, because it's a new year. It's more recent. We've seen him at Farmers and we've seen him at Pebble. So those are that's how we're really going to dig into this regarding POA. Okay. Let's now move on and let's hit some of those trends. Let's pop those on the board. All right. Now, I don't think this really matters as much, the first one. And again, the reason is signature event, definitely different. Not to say that there weren't a lot of really good players that played here pre-signature event, because there were, but there were still a lot of players that didn't play because there was a lot of other events to choose from on the West Coast. And you did have to take off now and then. And so not everybody played here. But still, I do think it matters. And that's why I kept this. I do think it matters that you have experience here because it is a unusual type of layout. And just getting into it again, what I'm talking about is you really are dealing with a situation where you've got a very hard fairway to hit, even though, again, like I said, accuracy always is going to matter, but it's a very hard fairway to hit. Normally you would say, okay, I'm going right for those ball strikers and accurate drivers and so forth, like I mentioned. But because the surface is firm and fast, that makes it and this is also very important. And because of the fact that the hazards are not really bad at all. I mean, if you're a power driver and you just take out that club, bash it, and you have a wayward shot somewhere, and oh no, where's it going? Is it going into the ocean? Is it going into some crazy location on the hole where I'm going to wind up with a double? No, there aren't a lot of big hazard penalties here for the drivers, and the rough is not really that difficult either. It's a very, what do they call it? It's a Kukua rough, and it's not very difficult to deal with. So even if you just miss a little bit in the rough or a lot, the penalties, the hazards, not much to worry about. That's why the power hitters really can thrive here. And so that's what you're going to be seeing. Matter of fact, if you look at it over the last 9 years, and this also includes not just winners, but runner-up. I was taking a look at some of the runner-up winners, runner-up players as well. All of those players, runner-ups, winners, were all powerful power drivers, except Hideki Matsuyama when we saw him last in 2024. Because Hideki came from nowhere to shoot a 62 in the final round and shock everybody and win. Again, that's going to happen. A come-from-behind shocker, sort of like what we saw last week of Colin Morikawa. Colin Morikawa became, because if you look back at the 17 years with the layout, with the Pebble and Spyglass, just 17 years of that history, because that's how we were handicapping it. He became the furthest back to win at Pebble. He was 8 shots back going into the weekend. The previous best longest was 6, which actually was tied with Rory tied that in 2024. So now all of a sudden that's something to talk about next year. But Matsuyama made that sort of a even bigger comeback because it was on Sunday with a 62. You're also going to see a lot of bunkers on the golf course, a lot of bunkers, a lot of deep bunkers. So sand save percentage, we're going to get into the stats. It's also going to be very important. And we're going to go over all that as well. Okay, so again, that's why I think it's very important based on the layout. It's a difficult course, even though it has been getting more, again, because the power drivers are able to take advantage of it, and we're seeing even better players here, signature events, the best of the best are coming out. The scoring is actually starting to get lower and lower. I do wonder whether or not we're going to see them try to make the course toughen up a little bit. We'll see. Anyway, Adam Scott was the last player to not only win this event in his first appearance, but he was the last player to win this event with 3 appearances or less, I think it was. Yes, less than 3. Excuse me. Less than 3. How about that? So you got to go back to 2005. the last time either a player won with 1 or 2 appearances. 4 of the last 5. Now, this is interesting. 4 of the last 5 first-time winners scored a previous top 5 here. So again, like the appearances at 7.8, having some success here, good success here, also does matter. So I think this is an important combination. And international players have done really well here lately. So, matter of fact, Ludwig Oberg won last year at Torrey. So, but even if you throw him out of there, international players have won 4 of the last 5 here at Riviera. Okay, let's move this along. Let's show you the main players. And here they are. Scheffler, McIlroy, Fleetwood, Schauffele, Matsuyama, Morikawa, last week's winner, Gutter Up, and Rose. And, oh, you know what? I also promised to tell you the stats. So let me give you those. All right, the key stats that you want to be keeping an eye on this week. You want to be keeping an eye on driving distance. Duh, I've hammered that. So, again, that doesn't mean, because there are a couple of players that I'm picking this week that are not power players. But most of the players that I'm going to go with do have more of a power game. And I think that if you have about 5 or 6 picks yourself, especially if you do a contest like at DraftKings, make sure at least half of them have a power game, if not more. I think that's important, very important. Again, I mentioned sand save percentage is going to be important. And definitely important is going to be strokes gained approach and strokes gained around the greens. All right, so that's going to be also very important for this setup. Okay, that's basically how I am putting it together with my stats. Let's now move on to these top players here. Everybody knows what the deal is with Scheffler. I mean, what are you going to do? But he's never won here. Okay, now keep that in mind. He's played here 6 times. He has never scored a top 5. All right, so now you might look at it and say, well, he's due for a win. He's lost the last 2. He lost the last 2 events and came close to winning, coming back in both of them. And I get it. But that is something to keep in mind. He did miss the cut in his very first appearance here. I believe Scotty Scheffler missing a cut. No cut here for the signature event. But in his last 5 appearances have all been top 30s. The last 4 appearances have all been top 20s. And he's got 2 top 10s in his last 3 appearances. Rory, I think Rory is actually a pretty good play this week. I think he's going to rebound because he had a strong Sunday shooting that 64. And he has a decent history here, but just 2 top 5s. That's it. Hasn't been in a golf course that he's even won. So we've got the 2 top players here that have never won here. And because the course can be difficult and an unusual setup to handle, also a lot of turns, dog legs, things of that nature. I didn't mention. But I think that if I'm picking, I'd actually side with McIlroy because I'm getting a lot more 13-1 over 3-1, which is big, obviously. And I also think this is not a bad setup for Rory. Rory has the Masters win, of course. He's also won at Honda, and he's coming off a Pebble win last year. And like I said, 64 on Sunday. So, and we saw how crazy his game was at Pebble. I mean, it must have been about 6 holes during the week where he just hammered them in a negative way. I think he had probably, what did he have, like 5 or 6 doubles? It was just incredible. He's number 1 right now in strokes gained approach. So that's a big one for Rory. So yeah, Rory's definitely a guy I would consider. No question about it. Both for picks, for everything, I would consider it. But out of this list, the 2 players that I really favor are Tommy Fleetwood. Well, actually, the 3: McIlroy, Fleetwood, and Matsuyama. Those are the 3. I mean, what can you say about Hideki Matsuyama? He just continues to play just incredible golf. He has right now 19. That's right, 19 straight cuts with 9 straight top 20s, 3 top 5s, a runner-up, and a win. So he's been fantastic. He was 8th last week. And all of his stats that you need to win here are really smoking right now with Hideki. I mean, he's actually 2nd best in sand saves. He's got top 10s in strokes gained around the green and strokes gained approach. His putting, which has really been the thing that can hold him back at times, has been pretty good, at least on POA. So yeah, I mean, he's just playing great golf, and it's not like he's got like a gutter up like 3 wins in 3 months. He's got 1 win at Hero. So I think he's overdue for another win. I think he's an excellent choice, even though it's hard to kind of win back to back. Even though last year was at Torrey, it's still back to back at Riviera. That's not easy to do, but I still think he's an excellent pick. And you're getting even more than Rory. Now you're getting even double. You basically almost you're getting like 10 points more for Rory. For McIlroy over Scheffler, and then Matsuyama's getting 10 points more than McIlroy, as is Fleetwood. Tommy has gotten better all 4 appearances here, so he keeps improving every time he comes here. He was 10th last year. If you look at it, he had a really good showing last week, 4th, kind of under the radar. Didn't really battle for the lead, but he just hung around, and this was important because just prior, I forget which was the event that his first one here. Might have been, what was it? Was it Farmers, or was it? I think it was. Or was it Phoenix? I can't remember. But the fact was, it wasn't like a great first event for him. So getting his game back, and remember, Tommy was on fire at the end of last year. He was playing like the best player in the world when the season came to an end in 2025. So you're looking at a player who is on fire around the greens, strokes gained approach. The only thing is he's not a power player. Okay, so you got to keep that in mind. And neither really is Hideki. So you got a couple of things there, but I still think these are 2 excellent choices this week. And Fleetwood, if you take a look at him too, he's had top 5s at the Masters, at the Honda, and also, remember, runner-up at Travelers last year, and a 4th at Pebble Beach last week. So a lot to like about Tommy Fleetwood and Hideki Matsuyama. Let's now move around to the contenders list. All right, so these are the top contenders. And let's talk about the ones that we like the most. Why don't we? Let's talk about Sam Burns. So Sam Burns is 35-1. You know, it's interesting. Sam's odds are fluctuating a lot. I think he was about 35-1 a few weeks ago at Phoenix, missed the cut. Then he was 60-1 last week, and he almost won the thing. Now he's back to 35-1. So big fluctuations, and that does make me nervous. No question about it. It makes me nervous to take him this week because I need to see some consistency out of him. But one thing for sure is his putter is going on POA as good as any golfer in the world. And we know how important that is. And very important, too, because the thing that's holding him back is strokes gained around the green. It just is not working for him right now. And that is what's holding him back from winning right now. And but at least the putter is hopefully going to bail him out until he can get that going around the green. But he's got a power game, so that's good. That definitely helps. He's coming off a strong finish last week, of course, as I said. And maybe most importantly, he has 2 top 10s and a top 5 here over his last 4 appearances, including 10th last year. So you're getting a good number with Burns. And I think he's another player that's overdue for a win. He hasn't won since 2023. Okay. Also on this list that I like, I mean, Matthew Fitzpatrick, if it wasn't for the fact that he does not have a good setup here, I mean, he's missed his last 2 cuts here, but he does have a 5th. Okay, he does have a top 5, and we're looking for that. But I just don't like the fact that he's missed the cut here the last 2 years. And the other thing is the putter. It's obviously holding him back, but it's not terrible. So it's one of those things where you could definitely see he could get hot with the putter at any time. Plus, you're getting 40-1 with Matthew Fitzpatrick, and he's hot right now. He's still on a good streak. 14th last week. What was he? 9th, I think. The event before that, strokes gained approach is solid. Matter of fact, he was 3rd overall in strokes gained approach last week. So I think Matthew Fitzpatrick is a solid play. We went with Knapp last week, and he did a really, he came close for us last week. But the problem with taking Jake Knapp, as well as, Minwoo Lee on this board, is a limited amount of experience here. Knapp has never played here. Minwoo has only played here once. Okay, so we'd be bucking the trend. But I think these two players are worth it because they're red hot. Jake Knapp has had 11th or better in his last 4 events, including back-to-back 8th place finishes. He was, what was he last week? 8th last week, as I mentioned. But maybe more important, he is right there with Sam Burns as far as one of the hottest POA putters on tour. So the putter is working beautifully for Jake Knapp. And he's also a power player, even more powerful than Burns. And that's a nice combination that both Burns and Knapp have. They got the power game and they got the putter going for him. Knapp, by the way, much better at this point, or I should say much better because, you know, he's better by Sam around the greens by 10 spots. I believe it was, was it last week? I don't know if it was. Yeah, I think it was last week. Where was Burns? Where did I have Burns? Let's see. Burns was actually, I guess, if you look at it, two separate things because Burns was still struggling from around the green. He wasn't dead last. He was probably he was in the 50s in strokes gained around the greens stats last week. Jake Knapp is in the 40s, but that's for the season, or that's for, it's basically for the season. That's what you're looking at overall. So he's definitely a lot better than Burns around the green, but it's still not something that is, a great part of his game yet, but it's not a hindrance. What's good about Jake, as I mentioned, are the driving, the putting, the way he's playing right now. And if you look at some of those similar courses, he's got 2 top 10 finishes at the Cognizant Classic. And he was also, if you take a look at the other events where there was POA, Farmers, he's got 2 top 5s, including a 5th this year. And he was 8th at Pebble last week. So a lot to like about Jake Knapp's game at this point in time, as I mentioned with Sam Burns as well. Speaking of Minwoo, you know how much I like Minwoo. And I just think this is a situation where I have to take him again. Because of the fact, there's only one reason not to take him, and that is limited experience here. That's it. But hey, since Adam Scott was the last player to do it, Minwoo has also got that Aussie connection. And Aussies is another note. Aussies actually should play well here and have. Most of the Australian golf courses are all firm and fast, just like this setup here. So it's no surprise that we've seen Aussies, Adam Scott, Jason Day, especially Scott, have some really good performances here. So Minwoo, now the last time he played here was 2022 and he missed the cut. Means nothing. It's basically like he's playing here for the first time, but at least he has some experience over the course. Keep in mind, though, his putter, which is good on POA. It's definitely good on POA. But he was red hot last week. He was 2nd overall last week in putting, strokes gained putting. We know he's got power to his game. So it's another player that's got a combination of power and putting that I like. And how about the similar course connection? Runner-up at the Cognizant Classic in 2024, followed that up with an 11th place finish last week. So, hey, I'm going to take him this week, but I'm thinking of also, next week's going to be an easier one. Unfortunately, his odds are going to be probably cut in half because not everybody's going to be there next week. And so he's definitely going to wind up with much shorter odds. Anyway, he's got some good showings at Augusta National. He's coming off the runner-up last week on POA at Pebble, and also was 9th at the Travelers on his resume. He's coming in with 7 top 30s in his last 9, 3 top 5s, and that includes a runner-up last week. So I gotta stick with him. I really do. All right. Also on this list, a couple others that stick out, and they're all on that side there, right under Minwoo. Straka, Scott, Day. Spieth could be interesting too because of him coming out of nowhere to finally play well last week. I just don't know if I can trust Jordan Spieth yet to win an event. there's, the best golfers in the world playing this week. And I just think if he's going to, unless he starts getting his rounded game together and becoming anywhere near the type of player that he was way back when, I just don't even know. It's, who knows though? I guess he could do a Colin Morikawa, right? Again, Colin showed nothing coming in. So, hey, anything's possible. I get it. That's why I think it's not a crazy idea, but I just don't like the value still. I just don't see any reason why Jordan Spieth should be 50 to 1 here with some of these other players. Take a look at Adam Scott. Adam Scott, who's in the same vicinity, has made 15 of 16 cuts here with 11 top 20s, 7 top 10s, 2 runner-ups, and 2 wins. That's an incredible resume. Matter of fact, the last time Adam Scott won, the last time was right here in 2020. He has not won since. Speaking of getting overdue. So I think Adam Scott is a really nice long shot play or top contender play. The putter, that's the thing, has historically been the issue with Adam, and he was not good. Not good. Actually, if you look at it, in this field, statistically speaking, in the last 20 rounds, he is 71st of 72. That is not good. But he's got still power in his game. The strokes gained approach, the sand saves. There are a few things there to like. The biggest issue is obviously the putter, and also he's having an issue around the greens. That's not a good combination. But horses for courses is a thing. And I think that Adam Scott is worth your time based on that. You might even want to consider him for one and done. I'm serious, because he's so dialed in here. And I don't think anybody's going to take him one and done. I just think that because this is basically it. Unless you like him for a major, which is really what he's looking at. He's looking at majors and where he feels comfortable at, where he's got the most confidence at. I'm not taking him. I'm just saying one and done, not the strangest idea in the world for someone that's so dialed up here. And Jason Day, another one, because Day, historically, in 5 previous appearances before the last 2 years, nothing. But the last 2 years, both 9th place finishes. The putter is starting to come on. That's really nice. His strokes gained approach last week. What was it? I think it was, let's see. That's right. His strokes gained putting last week was off, but around the green was good. So I'm willing to cancel that out. So again, you like both of them to go really well, but I'm willing to cancel that out because, again, the putter is doing well. He's doing really well around bunkers. And even though strokes gained approach last week was not good, overall, like I said, the strokes gained around the green compensates for that. And he's done really well on similar courses. He's got 2 wins at the Farmers Insurance, including a runner-up and a third. So he's dominated at Farmers Insurance over his career. He's got a runner-up at Pebble. He has a 4th at Travelers, and he's got 3 top 5s at Augusta National. So the fact that he's got back-to-back 9th place finishes, he's an Aussie. I think he's a nice contender / long shot to keep an eye on. Speaking of long shots, let's throw them in. All right, out of these long shots, the ones that stick out to me, we're going to go with Bridgman, Hisatsune, and Finau. Those are going to be the 3 top long shots we like. If you look at Bridgman, again, a first appearance guy, as is Hisatsune. But Bridgman, who will be my top first appearance guy, I shouldn't say that. Jake Knapp would be, but for a long shot. Last week, he was both good, really good in strokes gained approach and around the green. which is a little unusual for him. So that is probably one of his best showings ever at a big event for those stats. Throw in the fact that he's one of the best putters on tour, and on POA especially. So he's really humming on POA. And he's on a four event stretch of top 20s, 4 straight top 20s, 2 top 10s, 1 top 5, 8th last week. So there's a lot to like for a first timer. And then you throw in Hisatsune, another first timer. The putter, also really good right now on POA. And also maybe one of his better stats is strokes gained around the green. Good combo there. Throw in the fact that he's red hot in his last 3 events, 8th, 10th, and 2nd. And that's for someone that is sitting there at 100-1. And then Tony Finau is another really good play at 100-1. When Tony Finau was on top of his game, this was the type of course that we all looked at as a really good play. We did that because of the fact that, well, take a look at it. In 10 appearances, he's got 5 top 20s and 2 runner-ups, 2018, 2021. Matter of fact, in 2024, the last time they played here, he was 19th. Bet you didn't know, Tony Finau last week led the field in putting on POA. Okay, that's huge. His putting on POA has gradually gotten to the point where, boom, number 1. Matter of fact, in his last 3 appearances on the year, he's got 2 top 20s. You're talking about somebody that had surgery, I think it was in September, ankle surgery in September, had a little bit of a setback. So he's still kind of just feeling himself out. He doesn't even know whether or not he's even admitted it. He just doesn't know when it's going to come. And he had a really good showing last week. So I think that is a great stepping stone onto a course that he's had tons of great history at. He's also had a lot of success at Augusta National. And he's had 4 top 10s at Farmers. So I think, again, we're looking at long shots. You want to play a top 10 deal, something like that. And we'll get into, as we close out, we'll get into the fantasy. He's one of those cheap prices that you can go and snag. But before we do that, let's take a look at our picks. So these are our official picks. So I'm going to go with Fleetwood and Matsuyama, top 2. Burns, Minwoo, and Adam Scott. And the one player, I totally forgot to talk about the one player that just missed out. I totally forgot to mention him, and that is Sepp Straka. I was going back and forth on Scott and Straka, and the reason I just went with Scott was the course history. I just said, you know what? I'm probably not going to take Adam. I may not even take him the rest of the year, the way he's playing. So if I'm going to take him, now is the time. But Straka, and the thing that held me back with Straka, and the reason I went with Scott is because Straka doesn't have any great history here. He's played here 5 times. The best finish he had was 15th. And again, I think it's important, as I mentioned, to have some history. He missed a cut 2 last year or 2 years ago. But Straka's got to win at the Honda. And we know how important that is based on similar courses. And he's coming off the hot runner-up last week when he eagles the 18 and almost gets into the playoff. The putter also has gradually gotten better recently on POA, so that's good. And he's got a really solid, maybe one of the better underrated combinations of strokes gained approach and around the green. So a lot to like about Sepp Straka too. The only thing that holds me back is his history here on the golf course. Okay. One and dones. And I think this is what I'm going to do. I think, again, I have 2. And I think I'm going to go with Tommy and Hideki this week. I think it's a good time to take them because they're both playing really well. They're both on top of their game. It's a big event. And they've had good history on this golf course. So I see no reason at all for me to even question why I would want to take these two. Now, I think the other player that I would actually consider is Rory. I really would, but I'm not going to do that because I'd really rather hold off on Rory till he gets a little bit hotter. Again, I'm just going to guess he's going to get hot this week. That's all I'm doing. It's not a hard guess, but Rory's not Scotty. We've seen Rory go through spells where he's not really contending for wins in 4 or 5 straight. But we know how great he is, and that's why I considered him this week, because I just do have a gut feeling that he's going to play well this week compared to last week. Okay. Let's wrap up with fantasy. All right. So this is our fantasy. This is the DraftKings. This is the contest that I decided to enter. And let's see here. Oh, I guess I'm going to have to, let me shrink this so I can get it. Oh, that's right. It is pretty big anyway. I got to shrink it more. Let's see. Oh, okay. Actually, you know what? I can do a little bit more. Now I'm seeing what okay. I didn't see the pluses over there. Okay. So here we go. All right. Like I said, I'm going to go with Tommy and Hideki. So those are going to be the two. Like I said, I think Rory's not a bad play, but it's very difficult to even take. I mean, if you look at the salaries here, again, it's a $50,000 salary, but Hideki, at least he's at 95. Where is 95? Right around here. So you're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm getting 2 out of the top 5 salaries, but I think I can do that, or I know I can do it, because as you can see here, other players that I would consider. I mean, Patrick Cantlay has a really good, he's another horse for course. Matter of fact, Cantlay is crazy because he's really good. He's got a really good record here. And last year when they went away and went to Torrey, he also played well. So it's like no matter what happens at this event, he does well. He's made 7 straight cuts at this tournament, at Riviera, I should say, with 6 top 20s, 3 top 5s. His last 3 years, Torrey last year 5th, 4th, and 3rd at Riviera. He's got 6 top 30s in his last 7 overall with 2 top 10s and a runner-up. With Cantlay, I know some people might even take him for one and done. I don't know if I could take Cantlay right now. I just don't. I think there are other options at one and done. You don't have to take everybody because not everybody, especially in a big event. I mean, you only have a limited number of big events to choose players from, and I just don't think I would go with Cantlay. I'd rather go with Adam Scott. I just would. But I can understand if you wanted to go with Cantlay over Scott. I really would. I completely understand. The difference in fantasy, of course, though, is you can see Cantlay is sitting here at 9,300. And Scott, where am I getting Scott at? 79. Now, because I do have 6 options here, I'm able to take Straka. And that's what I'm going to do. Let's see if there's any others. Now, Fitzpatrick is another one. Again, I just can't take the chance with the back-to-back miscuts here, though. It's nice to see Ricky's playing better, but this has not been a good golf course for Ricky overall. I just do not think that this would be the week to take Ricky. But it's great to see that his game is heading in the right direction. He just has to put it all together now for a full week. Ricky has only 2 top 20s and 8 appearances here, but he's on a nice run. He's got 5 straight top 20s and 2 top 10s. Jake Knapp is another possibility here at 8,600. Again, the only thing that if I'm going to take someone with no prior experience here, like 0, then I'm going to go all the way down here, and I'm going to save a lot of money and take Bridgman. Now, I could also take Kusatsune and Finau, the 3 long shots I mentioned before. But I'm kind of still guessing with Finau. We just don't know. He doesn't even know. He can come out there this week and boom. But at least Bridgman See, the difference between Bridgman and Finau and Hisatsune is Hisatsune and Bridgman are playing a lot better than Finau, but they don't have any experience here. Finau's got great experience here and positive experience here. That's what you're battling with. So, hey, make your good guess. Go with what, you feel your gut tells you. But I think all three of them are good long shots to consider. Let's see. What else do we got here? I'm not feeling it now. Ben Griffin's going the opposite way. Victor Hovland's game is not a lot of statistics that just are not going well for Victor. He's a talented player, no question about it, but his entire game is not going right now. And then Siwoo had that disappointing. I mean, of course it figures. Siwoo's got whatever it was. He had like all these top 25s. It was like 10 straight top 25s or something. And as soon as I decide to go with Siwoo Kim, he doesn't have a top 25. I love when that happens. That's golf for you. So yeah, I think it's very important for Siwoo to get right back on the horse, because if he goes the other way again this week, then maybe it's over for Siwoo Kim. Because I even said that last week. I go, it's the reason I took him. I said, I don't know if he's going to be able to stay hot anymore, and that's why I grabbed him. And unfortunately, I was a week too late. Okay, who else in this area here? Oberg, his stats are terrible right now. It would be more shocking if he won than Morikawa. More shocking, because his stats are not looking good right now. Justin Rose does not have a great history at this golf course. It's not terrible, but it's nothing great. Harris English, I just get this feeling that Harris might play well this week. There's really nothing to show that that's going to happen. But that's Harris English for you. I've said this before with English. He's just one of these players that just comes out of nowhere and wins. Like he can be consistent, like he has been. I mean, what is he on a run? I think his consistent run actually kind of ended last week, even though he finished 24th. So it's still okay. But the stats last week were not good. But the thing that piqued my interest, he's got a Century win, he's got a Travelers win, and he has a Farmers Insurance win. 3 similar course wins for Harris English. On top of it, his last 2 appearances are his best 2 appearances. He was 7th in 2024 and 12th in 2023. So, again, the stats coming in are not good, but there's also a lot of things that tell me, oh, I know Harris English. I could definitely see Harris English playing well. There's Jason Day. Again, talked about him. There's my boy Minwoo. And yes, of course, I'm going to round it out with Minwoo on my board. And as you can see, that leaves me with $100. And there it is. Of course, I can go back and just show you how it is. So again, I'm $100 up, and that's how I put my contest together. And I'm going to stick with it. Nice to see Akshay Bhatia playing better. Unfortunately, he kind of folded last week. Taking a look at Bhatia. Let's see, where is Bhatia? McIntyre is another one that I'm kind of waiting to take, but it's just not right at this point in time. Let's see. He played here in 2022, so he's another player that has limited experience at this golf course. Yeah. Let's see. I can't. Yep. Let me see. I've got so much here to go through. Let's see. Oh, here he is. Again, another first timer. He's never played here before, Akshay. But in his last 2 appearances on tour, 6th and 3rd. So his game is right where he wants it to be. But another player that has never played this golf course is the big issue. But hey, if based on the way his game is going, it's not a bad idea to take a look at Bhatia. What's his salary? It's 75. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. All right. That's going to wrap it up. So, yeah, want to thank Aussie Golfer for chiming in. And again, we're able to put this together in 49. So I'm still a little bit over the way I'd like it to be. But at least we're getting in as much information as we can for you, try to help you out to hit your board. We're getting close. That's all we can do is just keep hanging in there. We're getting close. I know we don't have a cut last week, but we haven't missed any cuts or anything like that. I don't know, one and dones. And you have time in one and done. I think the time though is kind of like right now. This is the time you really want to get a win in, like in the next week or two. That's important. So that's what we're going to go for. Try to get us a win on one and done, and hopefully we can get it this week. Let us know if you have any other questions, anything at all, especially regarding the contests that you saw there, the daily fantasy contest over at DraftKings. Now, coming up the rest of the week, we are going to have NASCAR tomorrow, talk about Atlanta, wrap up the Daytona 500. We've got football coverage more to come, especially regarding off-season previews. This week, I'll be talking about Jacksonville, Pittsburgh, and do I have another one? Oh, Cincinnati. So we got the Bengals, the Jags, and the Steelers this week. And then we'll also, of course, talk about the draft and everything else that is going to be and the free agency is coming in a few weeks. So that's the reason why we're hitting these free agency draft shows. Also later in the week, I'll talk college basketball as usual on Friday. March Madness is just right around the corner. And horse racing's off this week, but we're back again next week with 4 Kentucky Derby prep races to talk about. We're getting really close to heating up with some major prep races for the Kentucky Derby right here on Proline TV. So that's going to wrap it up once again. Thank you very much for joining us on the show. Again, hit the like button, all that stuff. Where's my little buddy? Listen to this. Listen to my buddy here. Hit the like button, the subscribe button, all that stuff. Turn that sign around. What's around that sign? Do I have to put some? I didn't even realize I got to put something in that sign. Why is there nothing in that sign? Anyway, I'm going to get out of here before I start going a little bit too longer than I don't need to. And I'll see you guys again, hopefully next week when we make the turn to Florida and the Florida swing. Thanks for tuning in.